We will call this the Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority meeting to order for Thursday, June 26th. Roll call, please.
Chair Carr,
Here.
Vice Chair Ritchie,
Here.
Director Condit,
Present.
Director Morrow,
Here.
Director Wright,
Here.
Director Wilson,
Here.
Director Withrow. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Members of the public may address the board on any item not on the agenda. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless the chair of the board sets a different time limit. The board cannot take action on matters not on the agenda unless the action is authorized by section 54954.2 of the government code. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Eleanor Chase. I live here in Modesto, and I would like to say thank you very much for making more opportunities to ride the Max BART bus on Saturdays and Sundays. But I would like to talk to you about the possibility of considering having a return fare whenever you take the bus. Because periodically I do take the Max BART in to visit my daughter in the city. And if we're trying to get more people to take public transit, it would make it a lot easier if we didn't have to be finding our $16 in cash both ways. I know for the morning commuters, they get on the bus in the morning, they pay their fare, they get a return pass for their evening return. I don't know if you have any overnight commuters going in, but it seems a little unfair if you do have overnight commuters, whether they're paying twice to get on the bus and then get on the bus when they're returning home. I would like to see the opportunity to possibly open that to the public to be able to go into the city, just pay once and come back. If you could take that into consideration, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak at this time? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm the operations manager for Transdev. I just want to take this opportunity to introduce our new general manager that started this week, Tom Wittig. Hello. Dustin this week has been a huge help to us, so we look forward to everything he can do to assist us and the community with the transportation. And we also have a couple individuals we like to honor and talk about. We have our employee of the months. For this month in June, we have employee Andrew. Oh, they have it? Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Getting a little ahead of myself.
Stealing my thunder. Oh, no.
There's a lot, so don't worry.
Or don't know what to do now. Throw them off.
Meeting adjourned. Oh,
Move to full session.
okay. Do we have anybody online that would like to address the board? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. At this time, we will go into presentations. And now we will honor Mr. Andrew Renfro.
Oh, no.
Okay, sorry about that. This month, we are happy to recognize Andrew as our Employee of the Month for June. Andrew has been with Transdev for 3.5 years and brings over 6 years of experience to public transit. He takes pride in helping passengers get the correct information and ensuring they reach their destinations as smoothly and efficiently as possible. His attention to detail is committed and comment to customer service make a big difference every day. Andrew enjoys hiking, attending music festivals, and spending the time with his family and friends outside work. When asked what advice he would give to someone thinking about working at Transdev, Andrew says, have patience, like a lot of patience, and be able to listen even during tough times. Thank you, Andrew, for all you do. We appreciate your dedication and are proud to have you on the team. Please come forward. Thank you very much. Is Diana Castro here? There we go. Okay.
Just lost.
We are honoring Diana as Employee of the Month for the month of April. Our Employee of the Month for April is Diana Castro. She's been with TransDev for 3 years. What she enjoys most is being out on the road and the freedom of driving. In her spare time, she spends time with her son. Her advice to anyone considering working here is it's a good company with good benefits, pays well, and you'll have fun. Congratulations, Diana.
That's why. This stuff. It's like if you with the national stuff, they should preach.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now we have 2 exciting moments, 2 exciting presentations. These are employees that have been with TransDev for over 10 years and are now retiring. So our first one is Victor Vieira.
Yes,
Okay.
president, yeah.
Retiring after 18 years of dedicated service to StanRTA. Victor was more than a coworker. He was a friend, a mentor, and someone who consistently brought a story or a smile to the room for many of his coworkers. His leadership was symbolic by a compass he passed on to another coworker, a gesture his coworker would always treasure. He always had time for others and a way to make every day better. So thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much for all your years of service. Sorry to see you go. Thank you. And now, Kathy Postma. There we go. Today we recognize Kathy Postma for her dedicated service to our agency. Kathy has proudly served for 18 and a half years, holding multiple roles throughout her career, including operator, supervisor, and trainer. Her commitment, professionalism, and mentorship have left a lasting impact on both colleagues and writers alike. As she closes this chapter, Kathy leaves us with a simple but powerful reminder. Be aware of your surroundings at all times and drive safely. Kathy, thank you for your years of service and the legacy you leave behind. We wish you all the best in your next chapter. Thanks to all tonight for this afternoon for all the dedicated work you do for this organization. It's employees like you that make this a standout organization that it is. Moving on to consent calendar. Are there any items of the consent calendar that would like to be pulled? Hearing none. Do we have anybody from the audience that would like to pull any items of the consent calendar? Anybody online? Okay, thank you. At this time, I will accept a motion to approve the consent calendar as is.
A motion to approve consent calendar as is.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Member Carr, or Director Carr, Chair Carr, excuse me. We do have Director Wilson participating online, so we will need to do the items today by roll call vote.
By roll call vote? Very good. Okay. At this time, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Chair Carr,
Aye?
Vice Chair Ritchie,
Aye.
Director Condit,
Aye.
Director Morrow,
Aye.
Director Wright,
Aye.
Director Wilson,
Aye.
Director Withrow.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to discussion items. Item 7A. Motion to adopt Resolution 2025-196, approving an agreement with Stanislaus County to provide law enforcement services through the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Office and authorize the CEO to execute the same. Mr. Adam.
And actually, I'll defer to Mr. Herrera to provide this presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Board of Directors. Today, we're requesting board approval to enter into a law enforcement services agreement with the County Sheriff's Office. The steps comes in response to increased safety incidents across our system. The new contract will go into effect in July with 1 year evaluated term and 3 option years combined with our ongoing private security efforts. We expect to reduce operator assaults and disruptive behavior on our system. Next slide, please. SCSO will assign 2 uniformed deputies 6 days a week, focused on high traffic areas like Modesto Transit Center and key routes, covering our full system during peak hours. Next slide, please. I think you're a little ahead of me. Yeah, bring it back. There you go. Thank you. SCSO is a longstanding, well-resourced regional agency with the capacity to deliver public safety presence we need. Next slide, please. These deputies will deter crime response to onboard incidents, enforce regulations, and support investigations, bringing critical law enforcement capacity directly to our system. Next slide, please. This slide shows the annual costs for the proposed law enforcement services. The investment aligns with our priority to improve safety and operational support. Next slide. Here is a combined budget for the law enforcement and private security service. This balance approaches ensures comprehensive coverage. We are fully budgeted to support the service and efforts. Next slide, please. We're asking the board to adopt resolution 2025-196, approving the agreement with the county and authorizing the CEO to execute it. Next slide. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Are there any questions from the policy board?
Can we go back to the slide that shows the hour of operations, please? Keep going. Okay, looking at the chart there, I see that the sheriff is expected to be on duty between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. Was there any specific reason why the morning rush hour was not included in that time frame? Because the bus center does seem to be quite crowded during the morning rush hour.
Yes, sir. We analyzed all of the issues that we're having on our service, and these are the hours that we're literally having the problem, especially with the teenagers. Having the security folks during the morning will handle the rush hour at the transit center.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just a couple quick ones. So, the Board of Supervisors has to approve this, also, right? And so have you guys been in contact with them as far as getting it on the agenda? Um,
I believe the sheriff is actually.
Perfect, just working on that part. Okay, that's perfect. Then our existing security, it looks like they're gonna have to continue on. I was just trying to figure out, what were we paying for the prior security? It looks like it was a 5-year contract. We still have 24 months left of that. Is that right? Or do we still have, how many more months of that do we have left? And then just wondering.
Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, we do have some more time on the agreement. However, we'll still, we won't have as much service from them in the future once the sheriff is there. Right now, we have mobile security and security at the TC, so we won't have the mobile security anymore. So
Perfect.
it'll just, we won't be charging, they won't be charging us as much anymore
Perfect.
on that.
That's good. And what was the contract with them before? What was the annual amount we were paying the private security before?
It's probably, I don't know the answer to that.
Was it similar to what we're looking at? It looks like we're gonna get a lot more service, better service with the sheriff.
I could do some math because I just signed an invoice today for 59,000 a month. So if you just do the math on that, that's what we're paying today for.
Okay,
for
so
private
it was
security.
about 59,000 a month we were paying before? Holy cow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, that's great. And I think we're gonna get much better service. I'm just thrilled that you guys have made this work out, so.
Thank
Good.
you, sir. We appreciate your help on this.
No, you guys did all the work. I'm just a cheerleader, so I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you.
I think just the presence of the sheriff's deputies at the TTC when they're with their vehicles, with the uniforms, really set a tone of this is a safe place to be and we're here to protect you. So I'm very looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the great thing is, even though we have 2 officers that are assigned to us, we actually have the sheriff department assigned to us.
Great. That's good. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the policy board? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any questions from the public? Okay. Any questions online? Great, hearing none. At this time, I will accept a motion to adopt resolution 2025-196, approving an agreement with the Stanislaus County to provide law enforcement services through the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Office and authorize the CEO to execute the same.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Chair Carr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wiki,
Yes.
Director Condit.
Aye.
Director Morrow,
Aye.
Director Wright,
Aye.
Director Wilson,
Aye.
Director Withrow.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7B, motion to accept the 2025 Demand Response Survey Report. Miss Angela.
Here we go. Good afternoon, Chair Carr, members of the board, Angela Swanson, to give you a report on our inaugural 2025 Demand Response Survey. Transit agencies are required to provide surveys at least triennially under federal regulation on fixed route services. However, there is no requirement similarly for complimentary paratransit, which is also required. And that covers a range for us. Demand response covers our ADA paratransit, our limited dial-a-ride services that we have in Oakdale, Riverbank, and Patterson, and our Medivan service. The 2 latter services are, just to remind you, are open to the general public, while ADA paratransit you have to be qualified for. All 3 of those services require the passengers to book their services. So with this difference, next slide, we find transit agencies are really left to their own devices for what questions they ask and what they seek to do with their surveys. And StanRTA had not done one before, so in this inaugural one, we look to try to have a baseline data set on passengers. We already know a lot about our passengers because they have to be registered with it. So we know things like their birth date. We know where they live. We know if they have a certain kind of disability that we're working with. We know where they go. But there's still a lot we don't know about them that's important as we're looking forward, especially as we're going into the short-range transit planning process where we may be looking at changes in services and impacts that could have to our ADA passengers. So we evaluated what we needed to know. We tried to identify, and our short answer on this was that we wanted to really identify what are we doing well, how are we serving these passengers well, what's their temperature on us, and where do we have room for improvement. Next slide. So going through this, we first tried to do, you always try to do it so that it is statistically valid, so that you survey enough people to really get some meaningful data. So we selected 210 passengers, which is about 12% of our unique riders in the year of 2024. We had approximately 1,700 unique riders. All of them rode the service at least once. And we did the survey by customer service. That I'll talk about a little bit later. Because those customer service agents are a known voice, a friendly voice to that passenger group, we thought that may be a useful way to do it. We also, in addition to reaching out to those 210, we put flyers, made them available to all passengers for the first week of April, distributing it on the bus, inviting them to follow a QR code, and we also promoted it on our website. Next slide. So to have been reliable statistically, we'd have to have closer to 300 responses. We actually got only 71 responses. 55 people we were able to connect to by phone. 16 folks chose to use the QR code and to go online and do it. We use SurveyMonkey. So it's a little bit of a caveat that we believe that we got good generalized information, but again, it's not a statistically valid survey for what it's worth. It was evenly split between men and women, and it was ages ranging 18 to 89. We do, on Dial-A-Ride in particular, provide trips in Houston, or Patterson and Riverbank to high school students, but we opted not to interview anyone under age 18 just to meet requirements of speaking with adults. And they came throughout the county. So a couple of key things. So we looked at several things. So for one of the things we wanted to see compared to our fixed route passengers, which we know overwhelmingly use the bus as their primary form of transportation, what we found was about 70% of our riders use it either 3 to 7 days a week or at least a couple of days a week. Many rode it several times a month. So again, this is still a primary form of transportation. It's actually a higher number, being at just under half of them using it 3 to 7 days a week, meaning they are doing it almost every day. Next slide. Then we also wanted to test and see about how they relate to the fixed route. Is there an opportunity for us to move any of these folks from demand responsive services onto fixed route, which is a cheaper and more freer service to be able to use? Currently, by the way, we found out that about 22 of the people that responded to our survey use fixed route sometimes. So when we asked them the follow-up question, would you be more likely to? We found that 65% of people said no, they really need just Dial-A-Ride or demand response services. But we did find among those that did, there was a great opportunity if they got a free monthly pass on fixed route, or we provided them some travel training, or in combination with that, if we gave them some training on how to use the app so they could figure out the fixed route network, they would like to be able to do that. And so that was one of these opportunities we identified coming out of the survey. One of my favorite things that we learned with this. Next slide. We looked at Medivan in particular, which is our service that goes to the Bay Area once daily, accessing major medical facilities for individuals, including the VA, Children's Hospital, UCSF, and Stanford, among other facilities. And this was a smaller group. Only 14 individuals were Medivan users. But overall, 86% of them ranked us in blue or green, which is it's always great, or it's usually a great experience. We had no one who rated it as a poor experience. And so for folks, now again, this is a shared ride, and if you're going to UCSF, you'll have gone all the way through Livermore, up across San Francisco, and down the peninsula. So it can be a longer ride than you'd like it to be some days. But again, a vital and appreciated service. So that was great validation. Next slide. One of the other things we asked was we wanted to test how dependent people are on this as their form of transportation to get where they're going. And it was validated. We found that 24% of our respondents would not be able to take the trip at all. The next biggest group, or 51%, would rely on family and friends. And we know that while that's good, but if any of us have ever had someone who needs caretaking and support in our family, having to rely on your family to always be able to take you where you need to go it's burdensome and it's tough. What we found was much less were the more expensive options like Lyft or Uber or, doing something else. So again, this is a much needed service. Next question. And then we wanted to test, how are we doing in the service we are providing to you? And again, we always want to look for those blue and green lines. Together, that was about 80% overall in our performance. We had 4% that wasn't real happy with us, but the question was, did we get there on time and drop you off on time? And overall, we have about 80% satisfaction with how we're doing. We know, especially when we're looking at people who rode in 2024, we were still facing driver shortages. And we also had a lot of mechanical issues with vehicles so that we couldn't have the full fleet out that we need at times. This is a metric where we're looking for constant approval and in improvement and working with TransDev closely on it. Next, looking at that sense of reliability, it's, are you on the bus the right amount of time, right? Because there's a couple of things. You want to be picked up on time. You also don't want to spend 2 hours on the bus for what you think should be a half-hour trip. And we found a better response to that, where 57% felt that it was a right amount of time to be on the bus. Overall, 86% of them rated as good or great on this score. Next opportunity is next page, question 12, where we were talking about customer service. As I said, unlike the fixed route where you just go to the bus stop and get on, you have to interact with customer service to get your trip booked and to work with them. So that's a real important part. It's the first barrier to quality service. And a key thing is, how long do you have to wait to have your call answered? Our metric is we want the majority of calls answered within 3 minutes, which is the blue line. No longer than 5 minutes. It should be more than 95% at that point. We hit all of our marks on that, by the way, with 27% of our calls answered within the first minute, and then another half within the first 3 minutes. So this is a good start. Again, more opportunity to do better here, though. We'd like to see nobody at the 5-minute mark waiting. Next slide. Similarly, we asked them a set of questions about their experience with bus operators. How was your trip on the bus? And number one, look at this. I love this green line. 84% of people said they always feel safe with the bus, that he follows the laws, that he does what we need to see. Overall, 96% satisfaction. The sentiment also rolled over with, are they courteous? And we had a similar response on that, which in fact was 97%, that they felt their bus operator was always courteous. Next slide. The last thing we asked about, and this is a key metric again, when you think about our population, it includes folks that are very aged, that have difficulty with mobility, with emotional, physical, intellectual disabilities. A key service we provide is that the driver always gets off the bus, offers to assist you with boarding and exiting the vehicle to make sure you're safe. And we found that 81% the bus driver does it all the time, and another 16% said most of the time, again, taking us up to that 97% mark. This is a key. It's not only about good service, it's about providing a safe experience for those folks getting on and off the bus. So kudos to our drivers for that. Next metric. Is it clean? With this population in particular, imagine if your mother was getting out of dialysis and getting on the bus, you would want to make sure that it's as clean environment as possible. Again, we came up with 99% finding it to be always or almost always a clean environment. Next question. We also wanted to know, especially with the item prior to this where law enforcement was approved and we looked at safety on the bus and situations. Paratransit is a much more contained service, again, because we know who we're booking, who we're mixing together. But we did find very few people had issues. Only 13 answered this. But of them, they felt most unsafe due to other passengers rather to other kinds of issues. And again, that's where we have some mixing of people with different kinds of difficulties. And we can do perhaps a better job with some of our booking and how we do it. And TransDev works monthly with trainings for drivers so they know how to de-escalate passengers who may be having issues on the bus, dealing with seating and strategies to make the bus ride more successful. So doing well, but moving on. And then this last section was getting some demographic information. For all we know about our riders, we don't know about a few things. So on employment status, we found, unsurprisingly, that 51% of our riders were retired. Another 43% either were students or unemployed. which with a lot of our day program folks, they tended to answer that. That was one thing we could have asked better to give them a clearer answer. We found only 4% of them work full-time and 7% part-time. So we are really providing folks, what that means is their opportunity to engage in the world, healthcare and that kind of service. It's very different from our fixed route riders. And then the next question, we looked at the households. We find that while 30% of our folks lived alone, is more of them of our users live with at least another person or in a group situation than we find with our fixed route riders that were more predominantly single individuals. And then we asked on household income, and unsurprisingly, we found that a total of about 78% of these passengers are in or near poverty levels, so are price sensitive and needing our support. This is they're less impoverished than our fixed route riders, but again, still a population that's vulnerable financially. And then our last thing that we looked at was around race and ethnicity. So overall, very similar in that most of them spoke English very well. Next slide. But race identity, this was also an area that we have questions about, where the county demographics are roughly 45% identifying as white Caucasian, another 47% identifying roughly as Hispanic Latino. Our ridership, white is 52% and only 20% identifying as Latino. There are a lot of reasons why that could be different, because people who use paratransit aren't necessarily uniformly representative of the population, but we do question why are we maybe reaching out as effectively as we could into the Latino community or across the barrier of English to Spanish speaking communities. Next, then we follow that up with the final question on languages spoken in your home. And overwhelmingly, again, we saw English with some Spanish, about 18% speaking Spanish. Our next three that we only had three representatives apiece were Farsi, Tagalog, and Arabic, which were just interesting finds on what languages they use. We do use the language line to make sure when they're dealing with customer service and it's available to the operators to make sure we can communicate with folks in their first language. And then to sum it up, next slide. Takeaways, opportunities to use fixed routes to give people more pathways to service. That customer service relationship is important, but it may not have been the best way to conduct a survey. Onboard safety, we're doing good. We can do more and continue to work on that with our training of our operators. And Medivan, the key thing for making the ride more comfortable is something we're already addressing, which is getting a vehicle better designed to go over the highway to the Bay Area and back. Last slide. So we need to front load the survey also more to get people to do it. We also are less bothered, we think, with statistical and maybe doing more partnering with day programs and dialysis centers to learn why people are using or not using our service to get more responsiveness of it. Travel time was identified as a key issue, and our communication can always be better with our riders. This survey, by the way, has been invited to be shared at the CALAC Fall Conference, where we'll be talking about our experience in trying to survey and best practices, along with LA Access and another transit agency in the Bay Area. So it's nice to have been invited to be able to share what we learned from our process. And with that, if there are any questions or comments, I'm happy to share. I know I gave you a lot of information really quickly.
Any questions from the policy board?
I do. Now, a couple of these questions, like item 15, do you feel safe on the bus and well
Yes.
treated by the bus operator? I think it would be nice if somehow we could do some age categories.
I can cross tab.
Yeah, because some of these questions, I would be curious to see, are we talking, maybe, who's not feeling safe? Is it the seniors? Is it the students? Is it, and that helps, I think, if it's seniors.
Right.
So why are they not feeling safe? Is it because maybe the bus drivers, and one was the bus driver driving safely?
Right.
Those questions, I'd like to see who's not feeling safe.
I can definitely do a pull across tab on that. I think that's an excellent
Yeah, because
Right.
that makes a lot of difference.
Does.
Yeah.
Any other? Yes.
So I just have concerns about surveys like this, and we've seen this at the city of Modesto before, and the sample size you have is so small that
Right.
you should not even be giving us a presentation on this, in my opinion. Like, it's totally worthless. And if we want to take research seriously and we want to get real answers, hire a real pollster and get real research and get real answers. But this is meaningless and we shouldn't take anything from it. It's just not scientific at all and it's not helpful. And I've seen what happens when you make decisions based on bad research. City of Modesto, for example, we used a Survey Monkey poll, which had a lot more people. It was like 500 people that said we should only pick up green cans every other week. And so we put that policy into place and it created a storm that we had to weather for 6 months until we could fix the info we got from the bad research. So like, if we're gonna do research, I say we should do it right. And that means use a pollster.
Thank you. Any other questions from the policy board? Hearing none. Do we have any questions from the public at this time? Okay. Any- Okay. Anybody online? Member Wilson, do you have any questions?
No.
Thank you very much. Okay, Dave.
Now, do we get email addresses from our writers?
It's inconsistent, but we get them from some. And we've been asking for it. We ask them for it. A lot of our population doesn't use it or won't give it to us among our, say, over 60 folks in particular are hesitant to provide them.
That would be,
to us.
to council member or member Ricky's,
To be able to do a more widespread poll.
get a more sample of the actual writers. Just-
Agree, there's more opportunity. Starting this first time was really just, dipping our toe into the water and trying to find the best way to get valid data. And this population is hesitant in part because we know who they are. Whereas on the bus, it's anonymous, but when we're reaching out to you as an identified writer on the service, it immediately, that was one of our big barriers. We were able to identify their hesitancy.
I mean, I can recommend some pollsters if you need.
Any last minute questions? Okay, then I will accept a motion to accept the 2025 Demand Response Survey Report.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Chair Carr,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ricky,
No.
Director Condit.
Nay.
I'm sorry, Director Condit. Director Morrow,
Nay.
Director Wright,
Yes.
Director Wilson,
Yes.
Director Withrow.
Yes.
Okay, you have a 4-3 vote, motion passes.
Thank you very much. We do have information items. I'll let the board members read those at their leisure. But before I get to the CEO report, I would like to reintroduce the new general manager to our TransDev operations, and that would be Tom Wittig. So would you like to come up and say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, all board members, Director Barth, the whole team, really excited to be here. I'm on day 4 and already I hit the ground running, excited to work with the whole team, TransDev team. And one of my things I really enjoy to do is really be out and about with our customers, with our riders, with our employees. And I've seen nothing but extreme positive so far. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, welcome aboard, and thank you for all you do. And
Appreciate it.
just keep the positives going.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. CEO report.
Thank you, Chair Carr. Just 2 items I wanted to talk to the board about. Free fares July, the whole month of July is free. It's using the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program grant, LC TOP is what it's called. And we've been doing this it's become tradition in our county now that we have free rides in July on all of our services. So I look forward to that the whole month of July. Same on Turlock as well, so they're part of this program. Then lastly, the 4th of July parade, these are not pictures from the current year, or these are pictures from previous years, from different years actually, but we will be in the 4th of July parade in Modesto next Friday. So if you're watching the parade, feel free to come out and see our bus in it. So with that, that's all that I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Director's reports. Do we have anybody from the policy board that would like to speak?
Just real quick, Adam, we got, let me check real quick. Deborah, didn't we get Deborah back on, did we get her back on the bus? Yeah, I just want to compliment, we had an individual at the county we have dealt with for, geez, 15 years, as long as I've been on the board of supervisors. An individual with severe mental illness, and she's been in town, homeless on and off over the years. And she, again, has some serious issues that she's dealing with. And so recently she had been, and this happens a lot at our library, she is kicked out of the library, basically not allowed to go there. And I know recently she doesn't have a car anymore. And so she found herself in a bad spot and she got kicked off the bus. I saw her, just happened to be walking on I Street and came up on her and started to talk to her. And she let me know that she'd been kicked off the bus, which didn't surprise me, knowing Deborah, just the issues that she's dealing with. So I called Adam and we talked a little bit. And then I think Adam talked with TransDev, I think to some extent, it ended up getting her back on the bus. And I just really appreciate the understanding to allow her back on the bus. And that's what it takes. It takes some understanding, because Deborah can be very vocal, upset, and say some things, but just understanding that she has this severe mental illness, and she, that's what we're dealing with. This isn't a normal person who's just being mean to you. This is somebody that we've experienced it at the board, where she comes and goes. And so I just appreciate the understanding. I appreciate TransDev's understanding, and Adam, you working that out to get her back on a bus, because it was her only way to get around. And it's just great to see that, to see us being able to bend the rules a little bit, even though this is a person that gets kind of ugly sometimes with the things that she says, just knowing that what you're dealing with, and it's not something that she can control to some extent. And I appreciate everybody's understanding and letting her stay on the bus, because it was really her only way to get around. So I just wanted to compliment you guys on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other board members that would like to speak? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we are going to adjourn into closed session.
Awesome.
Chambers, I don't know how many, this chamber's full.
Back online?
50?
Thank you very much. We have reconvened from closed session. There is no reportable action at this. Do we need a motion for? We are adjourned.
Maybe less than that, maybe 250.
Yeah.